Welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at some more advanced 3D operations. So let's jump right in. The first one we're going to take a look at today is called sweep. And what this allows you to do is essentially create a profile and then spin it around in 360 degrees or 180 degrees to create a shape. So best way to demonstrate is probably just going to be for me to show you. So let's make a little vase here. I'm going to grab my polyline tool, and what we're going to do is draw the profile of 1/2 of the vase. So this is about the size that we want it to be. Come out to here. And I will just go like that. So here is 1/2 of our vase. So what we can do now is let's go ahead and just run the operation and you'll see exactly what it does. I'm going to go into a bit of a 3D look here so you can see it a little bit better. Select our object and then we'll go up to sweep. And there we go. So what that essentially does is it takes that profile and it spins it around infinite times to fill in a solid shape. So there's our little vase. Now, when you're looking at this, there's a couple of different things you could do. Say you don't quite like that, the way that that looks. Let's go back to top plan view. So what you can do is right-click on the object, and let's go to Edit. And here we can just change the profile a little bit. So let's jump in. I'll double-click on this to bring up my Reshape tool. And let's make this a bit more like that. Bring it in like that, and maybe we want this down there. And you'll see as I'm making changes, it's reflected on the other side as well. So let's go ahead and exit that profile. So there is our vase. Now, of course, it's not done yet. It's not hollowed out. But there's a couple different things you could do to hollow a vase out. You could use our shell solid. So let's try that. Let's make it 3/4 inch wall thickness. And I'll just select that face, click check, and there's our hollow vase. If you wanted to make it a different way, here's what you could do. If you right-click on here and click Edit again, so let's look at this top plan view. We can make it hollow actually in the profile. So let's grab our Offset tool. Let's make that 3/4 inch as well. And just click inside. So that's creating a slightly different look. And then I will resize this and pull that out. So now I'll grab our original profile and this other piece, and let's just clip surface. So that is what the new profile looks like. So if we exit, you'll see now that it's got hollowed out simply by changing the profile. Another thing to note, say you wanted to create something that's more of a donut. Let me step this all back a little bit. So here's our original. Let's edit this one more time. Top plan view. So when you draw your profile, whatever you draw, it's going to take this left-hand side line and it's going to spin around that. The furthest left point of your profile is what it's going to rotate around. So say you wanted to create a donut, something with an empty space in it. What you can do, let's get rid of that line, you can add what's called a 2D locus. And so what that allows you to do, it's right here in your basics, is extend the furthest left part of the object. So if we place one of those in there, now it thinks that that and this are both part of the object, so it will spin around your locus. So you see, if I grab this and I'll just hold Shift and move it, you'll see how the corresponding object is going to change as well. Let's call that good. And there we go. Now it sweeps around that hole in the center by adding a locus on the left-hand side. So let's take a look at one more thing you can do with sweep. So you'll notice over here in object info on the sweep, there's also pitch and sweep degrees. So let's say you didn't want to run it around in a complete circle. Let's say you just wanted it to go halfway around. You could change that from 360 to 180, and it will give you that. Let's put that back though. The other thing you can do is change the pitch. So let's say we want this to rise as it spins around. Let's change that pitch to 6 inches. And so you'll see it shifts and sort of corkscrews as it makes its way up. So if you wanted to, you could make this way more than 360. Let's have it go around 10 times. And it will rise by the same amount each time you go around. So that creates something of a little corkscrew. So sweep is a fun tool just to get in and start making some fun shapes. And again, you can alter all of that. If you didn't want it to pitch, you can just set that back to 0, and you're back with your original shape. Okay, let's move on to another operation. This one is going to be called extrude along path. So in here you'll see I've got a little curly Q here. And what I want to do is create, let's say, a funky handrail that kind of follows this shape. What you would do is called extrude along path. So you have this is the path that we want our object to follow, right? From top plan view, go ahead and draw the profile. Let's just do a real simple circle for now. And that can be anywhere on the page. So let's grab our circle and hold shift and grab the path we want it to follow. Let's go up to model and let's try extrude along path. It'll ask you which one is the path. Whatever's in red is going to be the path. So I can jump around from here to there. But this one is our path. There we go. And so now we've got this weird noodle kind of thing. You'll notice that the line, the path that we had originally drawn, drives right down the center of our circle. It's not hugely important right now, but it will be shortly. So we'll take a look at that in a bit more depth shortly. So now that we've got our noodle, again, if you wanted to come in and change anything in here, it's pretty easy. Again, right-click on here, similar to sweep, and you can change either the path or the profile. So let's start first with editing the path. So what we're doing here is essentially looking at the line that we had originally drawn. So if we wanted to change this, I can go ahead and just pull that out, and make whatever changes I wanted to. And that'll now be reflected in the extrude. The other part of this is you can change the actual profile. So let's right-click and then come into Profile. So from here, you'll see your profile. And it's right at this crosshairs of X and Y. What that means is where these intersect here in the center, that's where the shape is going to follow the path. The path is going to run exactly down the center of this shape. But let's go ahead and change the shape. So I'll delete that. We can either modify the shape or you can just draw a whole new shape. So let's draw something here. Like that. That'll be our new profile. So, no thanks. So as soon as we get out of here, you'll see that it has taken on that shape. And if we were to edit that profile again, we could do, let's reverse it and see what that looks like. So there you have it. Now, the profile that you're looking at, you'll see that the edit profile. You'll see that the three things are the three little points are sticking out to the left. So when we get in here, you'll see that they're sticking out to the left here. On this side, they're sticking out to the right. That has to do with the way that you've drawn the original line. So when I first drew my line, I started on this side, and I followed it around this way. You can look and see if we get in and edit the path. So we can look and see. Here's your object info. Go down to show direction. Just check that. And you'll see it says that I am drawing it this way. And so it's going to take that profile, it's going to stick it at the beginning of your line, and it's going to scribe it all the way around. So if we were to reverse the direction that I had drawn it, and you can do that up here, reverse direction. Now, when we get out of here, you'll see that it has switched the profile again. Because the original profile with the three on the left, the three spiky things on the left, is now on this face. It's kind of a weird thing, and it'll come into play a little bit more as we do moldings and things like that. But that's sort of the basics of extrude along path. So now that we know how to use that, the question is what's a good practical application for it? So let's hop in and let's draw us a little set here in our 3D proscenium stage. So here's our stage. Let's draw us a little set in here. First, let's create a new layer for our set. So we'll right-click down in this field and new. This will be called set. Seems reasonable. And then let's make sure that this set level sits up on the stage. Currently, if we were to start drawing on our set level, it would come in under the stage. The stage is 3 foot high. So let's go ahead and let's just double click this stack. And we'll see up here, we have no elevation currently on our set. So let's make this 3 foot. So now anything we draw on the set layer will show up in the right place. Let's actually grab we'll use our double line polygon tool. Got to set the depth on that. Let's say 6 inches. All right, let's call that our walls. Up here, and let's go ahead and extrude those. We'll take them up to 10 foot. It's a tall wall. Oops. Undo. Extrude 10 foot, not 10 inches. That's better. So there's sort of the basics of our set. All this other stuff is sort of starting to get in the way. So let's just kind of hide all that, and we'll just work simply on our set layer for now. It'll make things a little bit easier. So here are our walls. Let's say we want a nice big fancy crown molding across the top. Essentially what we can do is pull a profile of whatever molding we like, and then we just draw a path along the top of this wall, and we can do extrude along path. So let's start with our path. I'll just grab my polyline tool. I'll wait for it to turn blue, and I'll just draw right along this edge. And that'll do. So that is our path. And I'm going to leave this filled in just so I can find it a little bit easier. So next thing we need is a profile, right, for our molding. There's a couple of different ways that you can get moldings. You can draw your own. So if we were to zoom in here and let's see, we want a molding that's going to be about, so sure, that's about a decent size. It's pretty big, but, and then we'll just draw whatever profile we want in here. There we go. It's a weird crown molding, right? So then I can grab that, and I grab my path, and I go ahead and just run extrude along path. Again, it's going to ask you which one's the path. The red is the path, and that is correct. There we go. So that is our crown molding. Here's the thing, you'll notice when we look at it from this side, it's kind of sitting above the wall and it's buried in the wall. That's a really weird placement, right? So what's happening there, let's get in and edit the profile. What's happening is it wants to drive right through the center of the object. So you'll see our crosshairs is right here. So that is the point that's going to be following our path. We can change that by simply pulling this corner down, and now that is the corner that's going to follow the path that we dictated. And there you'll see, that fixed it. So that puts it right on that corner. Now as we pull back, you'll see we have a nice little molding. A couple other ways, so moldings are tricky. One of the nice things about Vectorworks is they have a big library as well, and that's called our resource manager. Early on in these lessons, I told you to shut that off. You don't need it for now, and you didn't. But now let's go ahead and bring it back up. So let's go to Window, Palettes, and Resource Manager. So here it is. It's kind of floating on my screen. So what you can do, there's all sorts of stuff in here. There's chairs, tables, there are different building materials, there are a lot of textures, plants. When you get into finishing your drawings, you'll be in here all the time. But for now, let's go ahead and look for millwork. So I can search in there, and it'll bring up all these different kinds of millwork that you can use. So just double click on one, it'll download it, and it'll bring it into your drawing here. So there's a profile you could use to run one of these operations with. The other way you could get a profile in here is you could actually insert images. So let's go to File, Import Image File. And from here we can pick a image. So you can grab any old image. Let's open that. Yeah, I'll just say yes to all of that. Ooh. And there is our image, and you can scale it. So with images in Vectorworks, you can pull it in, and if you right-click, you have options for image effects. So in here you can get in and you can change a lot of your basic kind of things here. And we'll make it sepia, sure. And you could actually, if you wanted to, let's take that and you can tip it up. And you can stick it on a wall. Well, it's weird, but you get the picture. So that's a fun thing you can do with images. What actually got me started on that, let's insert another image. Import image file, and let's grab a crown molding profile. So from here you shrink this down to whatever size you want, and then you just trace it. Yeah, that'd be about right. And then you just get out any of your tools. I would say probably grab one of these and grab your polyline, and you can just start tracing it out. When I'm using polyline, actually, I talked about how as you're going, you can choose what kind of mode you're using it in, whether you're using corner vertex, which is straight lines, but you can add curves, etc. If you're in just regular corner vertex, as you're swooping around, if you hold down to click and then don't let go, it will allow you to bend that line. There, I hold and swoop it up, click, click, click. So there's that. And then you can get in, and again, you can double click, and you can hone it with all of these little, nodes to get it closer. and then you could use that to run your operation. So there's a couple different ways to get millwork in here, but for the sake of now, let's have a look at our crown molding. It's up there, it's beautiful, it's great. Let's say we want to put a chair rail on here. It would be kind of a hassle to redraw all of that stuff. So what I would say is go ahead and select your molding, copy it, Control C, and then let's just paste it right where it is, in place. And the command for that is paste in place. Otherwise, if you don't use paste in place and you're somewhere else and you just go to paste, it could show up wherever. If you go to paste in place, it'll stick it right back over the original copy. And what you can do then, let's look at it from the front. You can just grab it and hold Shift to drag it straight and drag it down to where you think a chair rail would be. There you go. Of course, this is a huge unsightly chair rail, so we can go ahead and edit the profile. And you'll see here it's this gigantic thing. Let's delete that and go ahead and just grab a new profile for it. Sure, let's go with this. And we'll set that down there. And so there's our chair rail. It's still rather big. Let's edit that one more time. Oops, I'm in path. I don't want to mess with the path. I want to mess with our profile. Here it is. Let's just shrink this up quite a bit. Nice and tight. There we go. So we've got our little chair rail. And we can continue that. I could copy this, paste in place, and drag it down and make it into a baseboard. But once you have your original path, that's a really quick and easy way to get your moldings looking good. Now let's go ahead and say we want a little door. Okay, I'm done with Resource Manager for a moment. Let's get rid of that. I can always bring it back again through Window Palettes. Let's say we want a little door here in our thing. Let's grab our rectangle tool. And I'll just draw a 6'8" by 32-ish. So I'll do that. I have autoplane and push-pull mode enabled, so I can just hover that, shove it through the back, and there is our door. Let's put some trim work around that door. We have this. Let's do that. I'll spin it around so it's facing the right way. Let's put that right at the base of our door so that it lines up with the door itself. That should be right. So that's sitting right there. And then what we can do is draw a path. So again, let's just grab our polyline. I'll wait till I'm drawing on this wall. Boop, 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 boop. So if I were to extrude this straight up, extrude, you'd see it would follow right along that line. But we want to follow this path. So we'll hold that, and we will select our path. And let's go ahead and run extrude along path. And what we want to use this time, because we've set it touching the path, we can actually use what's called fixed profile. And so it'll maintain that profile as we go all the way around. So let's run this and see. That and that. Extrude along path. Fixed profile. Oh, that's because I had this selected as the path. So hit next. There we go. Now our path is in red. And that sends our trim all the way up and around our door. There we go. We still have this weirdness to deal with, but let's just select that. Let's go to top plan. And you can see where our other trim work is right here. So let's just grab our split tool, and we will split that right there. And then we will split again right there. So essentially now we've turned that into 3 pieces. 1, 2, 3. And delete. So there you go. You can see how using something like Extrude Along Path can really help speed up your workflow. It's really good at using for using moldings and things like that, and it helps you put together pretty detailed drawings relatively quickly. Okay, so one of the last things I want to show you in here in terms of advanced 3D stuff, let's actually take this now. Let's turn back on our theater. So it's all right back on there. Let's get rid of this wall. So that is our back wall. And I'll just turn that off as a class. So now we can get in and kind of see what we're doing here. So we're going to need a lot of masking in here, right? Let's play now with our, look at it from perspective. Let's play now with our soft goods tool. So to find that, we're going to have to jump in here into our event planning. It's the little theater icon. And in here you'll see soft goods tool. Let's select that. Now from the top, with soft goods it's similar. You can draw all sorts of different kinds of lines. Curves, arcs, straight lines. Let's start by just drawing some straight lines. So let's say we know we're going to want a masking curtain coming from there to there. The first time you do it, it'll ask you, what sort of curtain are you drawing? So as we're looking at this space, the opening of our proscenium is 18 feet. So yeah, 20 feet is a reasonable size. And there's just a ton of other options on there. Let's just leave it at this for now and see what happens. And the little squiggly line, that's denotes that that's a curtain. And as we pull out, you'll see there's our curtain. So the other way you can get in and edit some of this is in soft goods style. So you can get into the preferences here, and you can make all of those changes before we get going. So let's draw another curtain though, because I think that works pretty well. We will have another little masking thing over here. And let's go ahead and just run a full stage blackout above that, because there's a door. So those are our legs and our back curtain. And you can get in and change any of these. You'll see that they have a little bit of that squiggly geometry to them. That's because the default here is that they're drawn with a certain degree of fullness. If you wanted them just to be flat curtains, you can come in and you can simplify everything. So in Object Info, scroll down quite a ways, and you'll see Simple 2D or Simple 3D. So if you wanted that to be flat, you just click Simple 3D. You can click Simple 2D. The problem with that is it will then read on your ground plan as if it's just a line. And really to denote a curtain, you want that wavy line, just so that people reading the drawings know. So I keep that. Even if it doesn't have any fullness, I'll keep that like so. So there we go. That's our soft goods. And again, these are on our, if you look up here at the very top, these are on our set layer. So they're going to hit right at 3 foot, which is the deck level. Now, let's say we wanted to put some borders in here. So let's get some borders in here. Top plan view. And this time, I'll grab my curtain tool. And let's go ahead and say this is only going to be 20, let's take it up to 24 foot. Our wall is 10 foot, so it's going to be a pretty big border. Let's make it 14 feet. I might not be doing the math on this correctly in my head, but we'll see. And that's all fine for now. So let's draw border right along here. Now let's take a look. It's going to be sitting on the stage floor. So what we can do with any soft goods is we can adjust where it lies. Similar to windows, doors, things like that, it's going to ask you what's the trim. Top trim is 14 foot. I want to take that up to 24 foot. And so now if we come down, that's actually a good trim for the bottom of it, but the curtain is just gigantic. Normally that would be in the loft. Let's take it up another foot. So let's take it up to, let's make the height 10 foot. So it's only a 10-foot curtain, and it'll be relative to the bottom trim, and the bottom trim is 10 foot. Let's make that 10 foot 6. There we go. So that's our border. Now you can also, similar to any other object, you can just copy any of these and paste them. So I'll just take this one, I'll drag it up, and it'll depend where your electrics fall. Hold Control as you drag it up, and it'll make a copy. There we go. And so that is your soft goods tool. You'll see it drops them all in there real nicely. Super easy to use. If you're overhead, you can do all sorts of different shapes though. So you can use it and it'll create the curtains at whatever shape you dictate. The other thing to know, say you are looking at one of these. Let's look at this. You can change under 3D, right here in 3D options. So with it selected, again, go to Object Info, come down to 3D options. Say you want it to be opaque, you can have it be a scrim, but you can change the color of it in here. Say you want it to be like a, I don't know, maroon, deep red, velvet. You can make those changes in here as well. And that is your soft goods. The last thing you'd want to do in here is probably start dropping your furniture and all that stuff, right? So you'll see how quick you can move through with all of these built-in tools and actually start building something. Let's, just for fun, we're going to get into the resource manager quite a bit more in the next video, but let's just search for chair. And you'll see in here there are tons of chairs. Let's grab a fancy little chair, double click. There we go. And you'll see it drops it right on our stage because it's on our set level. And so you can really quickly populate a space using some of that. And that's Resource Manager. Just come in here, and if you want to search for anything, you can either go to All Resources, or you can just pick if you're looking for a texture, whatever. But for early searches, just leave it at All Resources. Punch in what you're looking for, and it will bring up all manner of options that you can download and plunk right into your show file. And that's about it for now. Thanks for watching.